All right, we'll go to hardest schedule. Here's who you have, top 5 hardest schedules. And the first one got a gasp for me because there's a lot of stuff lining up that make me nervous about this team. But here it is. From 5 to 1, hardest schedule. Number 5, Las Vegas. Number 4, San Francisco. Number 3, the LA Rams. Number 2, sadly, the New York Jets. And then Warren Sharp's number 1 hardest schedule, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a lot of red flags lining up with this team. A bizarre ending in the Bengals playoff game, really from the moment at the end of the first half when they could have put that team away. And it's just 2 hours of the craziest dysfunction, bad play calling, bad performance. Cincinnati doesn't even really play that well, and they steal the game. Then you go to the offseason, they trade Tyreek. They lose this magical Kelsey-Tyreek Mahomes combo. They're rebuilding now with a bunch of draft picks. And as you said, on the one hand, hey, great, we have a ton of draft picks. On the other hand, who knows? Then they get Valdes-Scantling and Juju. I don't know. The Valdes-Scantling, I can't remember him doing one thing in the Niners game in the playoffs. Juju, Steelers seem pretty happy to let him leave. And now you're telling me KC has the hardest schedule, and we know they're in the hardest division. I see some red flags, Warren Sharp.
There are a number of red flags, absolutely. This team, the only good thing going from them from a schedule perspective is they played the 6th toughest schedule last season. Oftentimes, though, we saw something that helped your team, New England Patriots, in years where they had Tom Brady and they either were off of a Super Bowl win or a Super Bowl loss. Every year is like, okay, you think that they do well. So they were the number one seed in their division. That means they're going to play other number 1 seeds. And so that's going to make their schedule difficult. But then you looked at the Patriots schedule every year and it was like one of the easier schedules in the NFL. It's like, okay, well, how fair is this? But for the Chiefs, that's not the case whatsoever. They go from playing just this move alone makes things very difficult. But they go from playing the NFC East last year to the NFC West this year. The NFC East, the worst division in football last year. The NFC West this year, yeah, I mean, we don't know yet what the San Francisco 49ers are going to do. And yes, Seattle doesn't have Russell Wilson. That is still a very difficult division, the NFC West is. They do have to play because they finished number 1, they have to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have to play the Buffalo Bills. They have to play the Cincinnati Bengals, who were a prime candidate for regression for me, at least after the Super Bowl, looking to fade them. I was hoping to find more markets where I could bet the nose of what they wouldn't do. You know, the books only put, will they get to the playoffs? Will they win the division? Will they make it to the Super Bowl? Will they win the Super Bowl? They don't allow you to bet the nose on any of those things. So I was looking to fade them more so.
Even after they beefed up their offensive line? Because I actually like their offseason so far. So did that change for you?
It did change a little bit. Now that they have addressed one of their primary weaknesses, and I saw more of what their strategy is from a play calling perspective last season, like after the Super Bowl, a week after the Super Bowl, I was looking to potentially try to fade them. There was no markets to do that. Now, after free agency, I do think that they are a little bit better. And so that's a team that the Kansas City Chiefs have to play this season. You mentioned all of the offseason movement. What do we know that they're still going to do, though? They are looking to pass the football. That's because Andy Reid is their coach. So that is never going to change. Losing Tyreek changes how defenses play you anytime that he's out on the field, even if he's not being targeted. So that absolutely is going to impact this offense. Now,
you also have Kelsey right around the stage when tight ends start to go downhill a little bit. I mean, he's had 5-6 years in a row elite, and the history of the tight end position and the hits that those guys take. And he's in his early 30s now. I don't know. Every year that he can stay at the level he's been at the last 5 years is surprising to me at this point.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, the benefit he has is he's not used as a blocker nearly as much as most tight ends.
I get it.
He's asked more to run the types of routes that wide receivers run. But that said, I mean, as you get older and you're bigger and you have a larger frame, those joints, all the beating that they've taken, like you are going to see something.
You just got to look. Yeah, you look up the history of that position, and you have like 400 or 500 catch seasons. And that's usually where it ends, except for even somebody like Gonzalez. They usually have like a 4 to 5 to 6 year peak, but that's it. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. There was some moments last year when it looked like he was starting to fade a little bit, and then he rallied again when we got close to the playoffs. But I wouldn't lock him into another like 150 target season or anything like that.
Yeah, which is tough because they might need that because
Right.
of no Tyreek out there. But you're right. Eventually, some of these guys end up becoming more situational players and then utilized more inside of the red zone, as their quickness and speed declines as they get older. But there's a lot to have concerns about. But and making that Tyreek Hill move, in my opinion, was smart not to pay him because you couldn't afford him. If you were paying Mahomes and Tyreek, who else are you going to add to your roster that
Right.
needs extra players? So I like the fact that they let him leave, but my take on that whole situation is it hurts their ability to win a Super Bowl this year. It helps their ability to win Super Bowls in the future because they're going to have the players that they can make moves with now, and they don't have to allocate so much of the cap space to him while they're paying Mahomes. However, this team is always a threat because they have Mahomes, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and they have one of the smartest coaches in the NFL in terms of Andy Reid, who understands how to design offense and the necessity to throw the football a lot.
That
You're not
Bengals
as high
game,
on Reid?
that Bengals game was alarming. I honestly think that's one of the biggest misfires I've seen from a team. I still can't believe they lost it. A guy I like listening to and reading to by the name of Warren Sharp. One of the things you love to look at is opposing quarterbacks when a team, but in two ways. One, going forward, who are the quarterbacks they're playing? And then B, during the season, looking back, it's like, oh, that team's 8-1. Well, wait a second. They played Daniel Jones and they played rookie QB and they went against Carson Wentz. Like, this is a little soft. They haven't been playing. So anyway, here are the QBs KC is playing this year. And we don't know what the dates are going to be. But we know they have Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson twice, Davis Mills, there's an easy one, Matt Ryan, Justin Herbert twice, Derek Carr twice, Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Stafford, Seattle QB TBD, Trey Lance, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Tom Brady. Is that every good quarterback we have other than Aaron Rodgers? It's pretty brutal.
It is pretty brutal, especially now that Drew Brees is no longer in the NFL. I'm trying to think of some of the other top guys that he.
I guess
not
Deshaun, if Deshaun comes back at the same level, but yeah, It's basically they get every good QB except for Rodgers and Deshaun, and on top of it, they're getting a lot of guys who these would be games that will be on national TV. They'll be Sunday night games, Monday night. They're gonna be getting the best week after week, and I don't know, man. They're over under on in some of the stuff that's come out. It's been, what is it, 11?
Oh, it's 11, and I will tell you, it's moved
Yeesh.
10 cents to the under. So it's 11. It opened at minus 35 to the under. It's now minus 45 to the under. So some of the early sharper money. Now, keep in mind, when we talk about like the early sharp money, here's one thing to understand about these types of markets is that a lot of people like me and the groups that I work with, we're not firing at openers at one book to mess up our ability to get lines. Like, we want to see what the lines are when a bunch of books have their numbers up so that we can then attack and get as much money down as possible spread out, across a lot of books. So yes, the early money that whatever book is out respects has ticked the line a little bit in the direction of the under. But I wouldn't say that like all the sharpest bettors are the ones who have been moving that number.